Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Brewing Business Show. This is a space dedicated to the craft beer industry and entrepreneurs who wants to learn more about mindset, health, wealth, business, and of course, beer. I'm your host, Pedro Meneses, and before we start, I just want to make sure you buckle up, crack open a cold one, and get ready to hear some life-changing information. Cheers. So welcome back everybody to episode 27 of the Brewing Business Show. If you're a first timer, be sure to check out the previous episodes and leave me a review on iTunes so you can help me find more, you can help more people to find the show. And guys, today we're going to have a very raw and real episode. My guests today are some of the greatest entrepreneurs I know, not only because they make an amazing team, but everything they have accomplished has always been with the purpose of serving others. Besides owning multiple businesses and multiple eight-figure investments, they also have their own platform and podcast called Real Business Owners to help motivate, inspire, and grow other entrepreneurs with real information. And today, they're here with us to share some of that inspiration and help us in their journey as an entrepreneur. So welcome to the show, guys. It is a pleasure to have you here, man.
No, we appreciate you reaching out to us and asking to be on the show, man. We're excited.
Yep, it's our pleasure for sure, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Believe me, the pleasure is all mine because you guys are a great example, especially that I know we've been connected for a couple of years already. And I mean, it is a blessing to have people like you in my network, you know, because people like you and others like in Apex or the Artist Syndicate, that I'm still not part of that group yet. I will soon. You know, it is great to be surrounded with people like that because I can say that most of the things that I have accomplished, especially in 2020, is because I'm surrounded with the right people. So I'm glad, you know, that I can bring people like you to this show and share my experience and have people like you that can share your knowledge and experience too with my audience, you know. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
We're grateful for the groups as well, man. I mean, that is one of the biggest things you can do for yourself to grow a business is surround yourself with these type of groups. And I remember meeting you at MDM a couple years ago, bro. We chopped it up in the hallway, and I just never forgot you. You're an approachable guy. You were an approaching guy, and it's just easy to collaborate and continue to do business with guys like you that put yourself in those type of rooms, these type of groups, and then also being approachable like you were. So it's cool that we've stayed connected over the last couple of years, bro, just from meeting at an event a couple of years ago.
You know, and that goes, that says a lot about you, right? Because there's a lot of people that go to events like that and they want to act like that they're the big swinging dick of the event, and they won't approach anybody else. They just think that they're too cool for school and they just want people to come up to them, but you're, like Kale said, a very approachable guy. You approach other people, you kindle these relationships that will ultimately serve you for years and years and years to come, because in any business that you're in the relationship business. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we own an accounting firm. We own a credit repair company. We own, several different businesses, but really what it comes down to is being in the relationship business and building good relationships with customers, with vendors, with other people that we can network with, like yourself, right? And so, it says a lot about your character, just as what Kale was talking about in terms of meeting you at MDM. So,
I think also that humbleness is part of that, because I come from a place where there's not much about entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff. And then when you're humble enough to understand that you don't know shit compared to other people, and then you're open your mind to shut up and listen and learn what others are doing, so you can actually implement not only in business but in any area of your life as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No matter what level you're at, bro, you should always keep that piece of humbleness, man. That is what makes people so approachable, and that willingness to continue to learn is what is always what brings growth to an entrepreneur. So it don't matter if you're a 6-figure business owner, 7, 8, it don't matter, man. 9, like, you should always be willing to learn, and you should always have that piece of humbleness, dude, for sure.
That's something that I learned when I was working. I used to have one of my first businesses when I moved here to the States was a kiosk business. It was a retail with other friends and stuff. And one of the things that I learned during that time was to learn even from my new employees who knew nothing about sales. I always learned something from them that I couldn't implement on my sales pitch or my presentation or whatever I needed to do with my clients or the customers that we have on a daily basis. Like, you can learn even from the people that have nothing to do with your business. So I think you have to have some level of maturity to understand that and being able to grow your business and your personal life as well. You know what I mean?
Well,
100%.
business is business, man. You know, the core principles of business are the core principles of business, no matter what business that you're in, right? People want to have a good experience. You should be focusing on building relationships, should be focused on making sure that your employees are happy so that they're serving the customers. Again, there's these certain pillars that every business has to have, whether you're in the brewery business, whether you're in the accounting, it does not matter. There's solid principles that overlap into any industry, right? And you know, again, relationships, you're great at building relationships and kindling relationships. You're getting your real estate license. That's going to be huge as well in your real estate, you know, adventure that you plan on going on with your wife. It's just the more people that you meet, the more hands you shake, the more that you stay in contact with these people, you're top of mind when they want to buy or sell a home or whatever it is, whatever industry you're in, whether they want an accountant. We want to be top of mind when they think about a new accountant. And how you do that is by, again, staying in front of people properly, whether it's social media, whether it's a text message or reaching out just on a DM, hey, how are you? Just checking in with you, whatever it is. You know, all of those things go across any industry, no matter what it is.
Man, that's very powerful what you just said. Like the more hands you shake, the more money you will make. You know,
without a doubt.
Like I was mentioned before we started, a huge part of the audience for this podcast, it is people in the craft beer industry, you know, and that is something that I have noticed so many people is afraid of, like to go out there and ask for the business, not only like on the B2B side, but especially in the B2C side, you know, like they feel afraid of like pushing people on social media and trying to post offers and trying to make people to buy more of their beer and all that kind of stuff. But can you explain us a little bit more about why it's important not to be afraid to like ask for that business, to shake people's hands, like get to know other people, like even build more personal relationship with your customers base?
Yeah, man. I mean, your network really is your net worth, man. I mean, I would say literally 80% of the revenue we bring between all of our businesses is from our network. Is a lot of it is from referral base.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so, I mean, and dude, we've been building this thing for like 15 years. We've been building this network, right? And like, you know, so one, yeah, you do have to have the willingness to go and shake hands and put yourself out there, even if you know it's somebody that's way out of your league, man. Like, you know, I can't tell you. I mean, I was nervous the first time I shook Ed Milet's hand or Andy's hand or whatever, but these are guys I want to be closer to and try to establish some business with. And, you know, we did the same thing with Gary Vaynerchuk a few years ago and his brother AJ. And it's like, you put these guys on a pedestal, but once you shake their hand and you start talking business with them, you start realizing, these guys are human just like me, man. These guys put their pants on the same way just like I do, man. And those are all assets to your network, right? And so it's very, very important to have that willingness. And it's very important to have the consciousness of the value of your network as well. So, and you should always treat everybody the same. I really feel like when I go out and I'm shaking hands and I'm networking, it's so easy to be like, oh, I don't want to work with that guy. He's doing little shit. You know, that guy's doing big shit. I want to go get hit. I want to go shake his hand or get his business, right? But dude, you shouldn't do that. You should always be shaking all the hands, man. Like, you know, I've had even if that guy, that's the smaller guy, right, that's not doing much, is not as valuable to my network, he knows somebody that is. Without and I can't tell you how many times I've met a guy that he might have just been an ex-employee. He used to be a sales guy for me, but you know, he's, you know, like I've made an impression in his life. He's made an impression in my life. And even though he can't bring me business directly, he's brought me people who have, and they have become very, very multi 6-figure or even 7-figure affiliates of ours, just because I treated him just as important as somebody that's worth a lot more money.
That is insane. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
No, and in regards to your comment of putting yourself out there on social media, you know, that's something that has to be done. You're either using social media to waste time and kill time when you're bored, or you're using social media as a tool to make money. Yeah. So would you rather waste time or would you rather make money? Social media should only, if you are a business owner in any way, shape, or form, you should be looking at social media as a way to get free attention to your business. Look, it doesn't matter what your family thinks. They're not the one paying your bills. Your friends aren't the ones paying your bills. The fact is that the people that are like, oh, look at this guy. Who does he think they're not your customer anyways.
Yeah.
the money that you have in your bank account is going to be the exact same amount of money that you have in your bank account, whether they make a snark ass comment or not. But if you continue to do that with consistency over a period of time, the money in your bank account will actually grow, because there are going to be a few people that are watching that might want to do business with you. So if you are ultimately going to project insecurities, what you're doing is projecting insecurities on your income. Okay. You're hurting your bottom line based upon your own fear. And just so that people understand, I think the statistic is 95% of what we fear will never come true. And the other 5% is never as bad as what we pictured it. We always go to the worst case scenario. Okay. The fact is, we're thinking about the guy or the girl or the family member or the friend that might think that we are, putting ourselves on a pedestal by putting offers out there or talking about our business. But in reality, it probably isn't even going to be like that. We have more. And I'll tell you this, we've had many people come to us when we started Real Business Owners on Instagram and on Facebook and started the podcast, that have reached out to us. And they said, look, man, when you guys first started, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. Who do these guys think that they are? And then they said, I started listening and it felt like you guys were talking to me directly. You guys put out killer ass content, and it actually it's been useful to me. And these are people that are of success already, right? Because somebody that's not successful, who cares if they judge you or not? Because they're probably not going to be somebody that you're going to do business with anyways, right? And so it's amazing with consistency and good content or information about your business, about your beer or whatever it is, what can come from it. We've created awesome relationships based upon the platforms of social media like Instagram, like Facebook, and our businesses are stronger because of it. And we used to have those same type of feelings that everybody else has, where they're a little reserved, like, I don't know if I want to turn my personal page into my business page because I already have a business page. Look, share some of your shit from your business page on your personal page. It is what it is, man. You're there to make money. Make money. Put yourself out there. That's the only way to make money, is by putting yourself out there. The fact of you starting a business is putting yourself out there. Just that fact alone, because statistics say you shouldn't start a business.
Absolutely.
66 or 67% of businesses are going to fail, right? So the statistics work against you in terms of whether it's smart or not to start a business. Okay. So fact is, you need to be willing to get uncomfortable. Starting a business is uncomfortable. Then taking the next step and marketing your business to some of the people that follow you, that's a little uncomfortable. But there's not one person that's seen any success that hasn't got uncomfortable over and over and over. That's just the process.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something that is very important to understand. Even Sean Whalen says this: people is not afraid of failing. People is afraid of being judged. And I understand, and I always say this to my clients, is like, stop being afraid of expressing who you are on your social media, on your business page, or whatever your core values are as a business, because you want to attract the right people, but at the same time, you want to repel the wrong people, because you don't want to do business with everybody, and that's something that people have a hard time understanding, because I don't want to do business with the wrong people. Like, once I get my license, for example, and start working also with the real estate with my wife, for example, right? I don't want to do business with somebody that have a shitty credit score, and it's going to take me like pain in the ass trying to get them into a home, fix their credit first, and go through all that process. I want to be specific.
Hours and hours of your time, when they can't even get qualified, right?
Exactly. And a lot of people don't understand that, because they're afraid of losing the money. That is like, okay, I was just going to sell my products to whoever comes first, like, I'm just not going to say this on social media so I can have this group of people come to my brewery and buy my beer and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think it works that way. Like, you don't have to be afraid of losing people, because you're actually losing the wrong people for your business. Probably that's the people that will leave bad review.
Well, it comes down to not catering to your haters.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're gonna have them.
Yeah, exactly. So that you're not catering to the people that might actually really want your product or your service. Your thoughts are only catering to the people that are haters, because you're worried about getting the hate or getting the snarky comment.
Yeah.
Why would you let your life's outcome be determined based upon somebody that might make a snarky comment? You shouldn't let that deter you from doing what's right for the business. That's the right decision, no matter the outcome.
And it is very powerful what you said too, man. That you say you learned from Sean Whalen. I mean, that's true, bro. I catch myself all the time, even at the level I'm at in business now. Like, oh shit, man. Like, I'm making a decision based on fear of being judged, right? Like it's so true. And it's very valuable to become aware of that. So I'm glad you talk about that on your show, because people need to become more aware of that so that they can execute and still push through that hard decision and overcome that fear of being judged and still progress in the area that they're trying to progress. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's huge, man. People don't realize that. They don't realize that they're really fearful of the judgment versus the failure. They don't realize it at all. And so once they do realize it, they can start making moves to counter that fear.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that, my show have in common with yours, with the real business owners, is that I always wanted this platform to be real too, like, let's talk about the real shit here, guys, because if we not talk about the things that in other groups and other people is not trying to talk about because somebody's going to get upset, like, fuck that. I want this to be real, because the only thing I've been able to grow in my life is being real with myself and actually accept the truth, no matter how painful it is. And I know one of the reasons why you guys started Real Business Owners is for the same reason, because there's a bunch of people out there who is just ripping people off and ripping all their entrepreneurs and business owners. But before we get there, I know you guys are crushing it and are doing a great stuff right now, but I know there's a story behind it, and the story behind why you guys created the Real Business Owners. Talk to us a little about how you guys, a little bit about your journey, because a lot of people in listening to this show right now is people who probably just started a brewery this year. They're trying to survive through the stupid pandemic, or other business that people have been in business 5-10 years is also struggling, So tell us a bit about your story, because I think that's part of being real, is to, like, you guys didn't get to this point overnight. There was a process, and a serious process, right?
Right, dude. I mean, to be honest with you, me and Trev worked together in a call center. I was like 18 years old, and I've been working there for about a year. And then I think Trev came in when you were about 18 or 19.
19.
Yeah. So like we were both just young kids, we're just learning sales to survive, right? Because we both came from like, he was landscaping. I was doing siding and construction with my old man. I had a kid already at 18 years old. Trev, he just wanted to make more money, man. He came up poor. I came up poor. And so we hit it off and became friends very quickly. And we worked in this call center for a couple of years together. And then we kind of went our separate ways. It was weird, man. Like, I went off and I started a call center business of my own, and Trev circled back around and ended up working for me, and quickly became one of my top sales guys, quickly became our top manager. And after several years of working with Trevor, like, I knew he was ready to go do his own thing anyway, become his own business owner. And I just saw so much value in him and his ability to manage people, and plus loved him because of our friendship over the years. And I'm like, dude, let's just grow this thing. Let's just become, a team. Let's partner. Right. And so, but yeah, man, I don't know how far back you want to go, but like we went through a lot of struggles as business owners, right? I mean, we went through borrowing sales guys money, or making bad decisions business wise, or investing into things, or trying to spread ourselves too thin, to where we quickly realized, like, the one thing that's kept us surviving over the years was the fact that we always were good at, like, saving our money and putting money away in our operations accounts, and always taking care of our people around us first. I can't tell you how many paychecks we did not take so that we could pay our people, especially in the early years of growing our business. When the good times are good, yeah, man, we pay ourselves. But when bad times hit, we keep money in our operating accounts so that we can take care of the people around us that are here with us, that are bought in on the long-term vision with us, to turn this thing into what we want it to be. Not just real business owners, but easier accounting and 60-day credit repair, and our Amazon business, and now our food business that we just invested into. Like, we just have that core value of taking care of the people around us, so that we can do this for a long time, and we can grow not only our lives, but the people around us lives as well. But we did come from an industry where people were always trying to buy around those into those get rich quick schemes, and we see all the fake shit out there in the ads and the things that are floating around. And so we know both sides. We know from starting our own businesses the real shit that it takes, and we know from very early call center days when people were calling in just trying to buy a marketing gimmick that was just a get rich quick scheme. So we're like, dude, the market just needs more and more of realistic talk on the fact that it's going to take hard work, and it's going to take discipline, and it's going to take, trying things outside the norm in order to really grow a business. And so that's why we wanted to start Real Business Owners. And it's been great. It's benefited all of our businesses, and it's benefited us as well. So,
wow.
Trev has his own, take on his history and how we got here as well. So he can kind of elaborate.
Well, I mean, just to piggyback off of what Kel said, in 2012, there was no money in the bank, and there was 66 grand in credit card debt. That was a pivotal moment, to where it was basically seemingly the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is what it felt like for a moment, right? That difficult time where you just stay the course and continue doing what you believe that you should be doing, what you feel is the right thing to do. And if you believe in your business will go through ups and downs. But if you believe in the business, how much will you go 66 grand deep on credit cards with no money in the bank because you have that much belief in your business? Right. Fast forward now, 9 years later, we do very, very, very well. All of our companies they have very large cash reserves in them because of the experience that we had in 2012, because we don't want to put ourselves in a bad situation financially again, because it hurts so much. And a lot of growth comes from very, very, very deep places of pain or hurt, right? We were in pain, we were hurting financially. And that moment was a moment that is stuck with us for the last 8 years. And so what we've wanted to do with Real Business Owners is really just talk about the process. Everybody wants to show people what entrepreneurship can bring in terms of materialistic things. They talk about the end result when we talk about the process. We talk about how we've got there, right? Some of the shit that we've had to go through in order to get where we are. Some of the sacrifices that we've had to ultimately make that the average person probably wouldn't make in order to get where we are, which is much farther than the average person is, right? Yeah. And so you've got to be willing to make decisions outside of the average person's mindset in order to get out of an average person type result, right? And I feel like that we fit that mold. And so what we wanted to do is, look, man, like you said, there's a lot of shitty information online. There's a lot of people sitting next to their Lamborghinis or their Bentleys and taking pictures, and their jets or their beaches or the houses or this, that, the other. Again, that's the end result. But they're not talking about the 10 or 20 years that it took to get there. And the problem with that is on social media, young people or young entrepreneurs even, they could be 40 years old, and that's a young entrepreneur because they're new in their entrepreneurial journey, right? Yeah. We didn't want those individuals to basically emulate what this person's doing because they're at year 20, you're at year 1. And the problem is a lot of people want to look the part and they're not actually playing the part. Mm-hmm. And that's where we come in with the Real Business Owners podcast and the Instagram account, where we're just talking about just how to actually get to those levels that you can afford shit like that. If that's something that interests you. Some people aren't into cars. Some people are more into having large amounts of money in the bank for just personal security. Whatever your thing is,
it's going to take
exactly. It's going to take a compounded effort and consistency over 5 to 10 years before you ever say, holy shit, it's worth it. Because the first 3 to 5 years, that's the phase where you are going to question everything. But I also think that that's a good phase to be in, because you are questioning everything. And when you do that, it requires you to do a lot of soul searching. And when you do it, it requires you to look internal, like, what am I doing wrong? What else can I do? And in some cases, people aren't doing anything wrong except for the fact of having improper expectations, and they haven't given it enough time. You can't question what you're doing wrong on month 6. Yeah. You don't have enough data to determine whether you're doing something wrong or right. And believe me when I say this, you'll have to try everything. You know, some people wants to, you know, you'll have to try Facebook. That might be where you generate all your business. Maybe Google. Maybe you have to work on the referral side and get inside these entrepreneur groups. Maybe you have to start your own podcast to pull on business. Maybe, you know, you're going to have to basically leave no stone unturned. And so those first 3 to 5 years, all you're doing is turning over every single stone, trying to figure out what's going to work for your business.
When you don't know what's going to work until you do it for a long period of time. So many people might start a podcast, but they give up after 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, then no one's going to listen to you in 3-4 weeks, bro. You got to be consistent. You got to try it for a long period of time, you know? It's like that with everything. And that's another big problem with these fake success gurus, man. They're standing in front of their Lamborghinis or their jets and they're saying shit like, look, see how I made $14 million inside 1 year doing this one little trick, right? Or some stupid shit like that. And then it's just preying on people that are desperate and want that quick result. And that's really what we're all about, man. We just want people to know there is no quick result. The secret sauce or the formula is sticking with something for a long period of time.
Without a doubt.
Which, you know, it comes to be a big shock for so many people, you know, and I have seen that a lot, you know, especially with the people that I work with, the market brewing company, you know, there are breweries. I have talked to people, they're getting shocked when they go to seasons like this, especially during 2020, for example. They never expected this. Nobody expected this, man. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is part of the process. And like we were talking before we started, like it all depends on your perspective, because you either take advantage of the time, like you pivot and then you start finding solutions for your business, or you start a side hustle or do something else, right? So you can keep your business alive, or you just curl in the corner and start crying and bitch about why life is unfair to you. But what I want you to get more deep into is like, because I understand this, man. And I know most of my audience is trying to grasp this information, because I understand that being an entrepreneur and business owner, it is a way of life that not many people understand. But if you want to be on this path, you have to accept the reality that comes with being an entrepreneur, that's struggle. You know, you have to go through a lot of struggle, because that's the only way you're going to learn. There's going to be painful situations. You have to learn and invest a lot in yourself. You have to be surrounded with the right people and some other stuff, right? But expand more a little bit into why it's important to understand all this. If you really want to be successful and understand that if you want to have a sustainable business, you have to go through all this shit, you know?
Because it teaches you everything that you need to know to get to the next level. So each level will have their own challenges. In order to break that first $100,000 mark in revenue, it's going to have its own set of challenges. And every time you overcome one of those struggles or circumstances or challenges, you're banking that, right? So you don't have to make that mistake again. And then when you want to get a $500,000 in revenue and $1 million, each level has its own set of challenges. The problem is people try to skip levels. They want to be $1 million business before they're even hitting their target at $500,000, and they're setting improper expectations, which ultimately lead to frustration, right? So understand that it's a process. It's going to take time, and be okay with that. Okay, you don't go into business. I don't know anybody that goes into business and say, I want to start a business because I want to be rich in 6 months. And people forget that. They're thinking about the long term. Like, man, I don't want to work for anybody else anymore. By the time I'm 40, 45, 50, I want to have a great life. I do not want to retire and live on Social Security or whatever it is. Most people, when they go into business, they go into it with the right expectation of a long-term dream or goal of being successful. But then they forget about that quickly when they're going through the mud and they're going through the shit, right? Because it is difficult. It is difficult. That's one thing that every successful person has in common. They've all gone through struggle. Mm-hmm. Even unsuccessful people go through struggle. You determine which struggle that you want to go through, the struggle of not having any money all the time and just living paycheck to paycheck, or the struggle of dealing with problem after problem after problem and slowly figuring out solutions. It's very important to deal with struggles. I've learned more from our struggles, just as I just talked about in 2012, than I've ever learned from cashing a $100,000 check. I don't learn much cashing the check. I learned a lot from the struggle that allowed me to cash that check.
Well, that's one of the biggest commonalities that we've seen being a part of all the groups and surrounding ourselves with 8 and 9 figure people is like, you learn to love the struggle of chasing success, right? You're not happy with the struggle of just being nothing. You're not you're not happy with the struggle of just sitting back and being complacent and comfortable your entire life, or not taking risks because you're afraid of something, And so, dude, I mean, when we were in these big rooms with people that are 7, 8, 9-figure earners, like every single one of them are like, dude, I'm happiest when I'm chasing my next goal. And it is a struggle. They take it on as a challenge that feeds their happiness level, right? And so they've basically come to the conclusion in their life that, like, if I want to stay happy, I've got to always push myself to the next level, because I'm only happy if I'm achieving, if I am pushing myself towards something. And this is a lifelong commitment. There is no destination. And once you realize that, okay, man, my happiness level is on the pursuit of hitting my goals. It's like now you can just commit 100% to like loving the struggle, and you're going to always hit those next levels of success. And the cool thing about it is you get to reward yourself along the way every time you hit those levels of success, like whether it is a bigger house or whether it is nicer family vacations or whatever it is, right? But you're never going to get that if you just keep buying into the complacency and the fear and that struggle. So like Trev said, you get to choose your road of struggle. Why not choose the one that feeds your soul and fills your happiness up, because you're actually pursuing something that's of goodness and something of success. But it's a struggle no matter which road you take. So that's been one of our biggest takeaways, one of mine anyway, is like, there is no destination, man. I'm going to be chasing the best version of me for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. And I'm on the same mission, man. I'm really passionate about that too. I just want to become the best version of myself. And I know that it's not a destination. I know, I mean, it is a journey, and I don't know how long it's going to last for me, but I'm on the same train with you, man, because
that's one of the big commonalities in people like us when we meet at these rooms full of all these high level success people or chasing that level. It's just, I've been that guy too, where I'm like, man, if I could just make this much money every year, I'll be happy. Oh man, if I just had this much money in the bank, I'll be happy. If I could just pay my house off, I'm set. There is no happiness in that, man. Like, because once you hit that, it's like, now what, right? So that's from high earners, man, high people with great lives. That's the commonality, bros. We know that there is no destination. We constantly have to keep evolving to that next version of us.
Well, if you really think about it, and we've talked about this a little bit. When somebody wants something so bad, like a new house or a new car, they are laser focused. They're okay to go through a little bit of struggle and work that extra job or get a part-time job to save up enough money to buy the car or to be able to buy the house. But once you have your basic needs met, that's where the average person stops. It's funny that we can progress as young men and women to the point to where we end up having a house. We end up having a car when we didn't have those things. So we were chasing something. We were chasing what we thought was the next level of just living life, right? You grow up, you get your own car, you get your own place. That's where progression usually stops. And I would guess that the majority of people were most happy when they were younger, trying to chase getting into their first house or chase getting into that first car. But complacency sets in. You now have food, shelter, and mobility. And then at that point, you stop progressing because you don't have the next target to hit. It's funny, when we have a target, we're willing to go through anything to get there. So whatever reason that you went into business for yourself, don't take your eye off the prize or that target. You're going to go through struggle, but be willing to go through the struggles. The fact is that we have multiple businesses, and I think it's because we're okay with the struggle. Now, at first, you question it a lot. You stop questioning it when the paychecks roll in, right? Yeah. And then when you start another business and you start struggling with that business, just like you did on the previous business, you don't look at it the same. You're like, okay, cool. This is a part of the process. It's a problem. We got to figure out the solution. And business gets boring when you actually figure shit out. Yeah. You want to find something where there's struggle because struggle equals growth. The more mature that you get in business, that's just the way it is. And we were just talking on the phone the other night. Oh, Kale calls me, man, we might land these few accounts. Businesses might double here within the next month or two. And the new struggle is, how are we going to fulfill all that? So we're forcing struggle upon us, and we have to create solutions. Okay, we're okay with that now because we understand struggle. Struggle here equals pay here. But there's a gap in between it, and people associate struggle with something bad, but the payoff is out here. We need to associate struggle with something positive because that means we're trying to do something that's greater than who we currently are. And the great thing about business is it forces you to become a better human being. Because if who you are today could operate a $10 million company, you already would be doing it.
Wow.
So you're forced to evolve as a human being. I say business is the best self-improvement course on earth because it's going to make you look inside over and over and over. Like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And it forces you to want to grow and evolve as a human being. Because if you look at out of the same lens every single day for 5 years, your business probably won't progress. But if you're progressing in the lens that you see your business as, in other words, the mind that you have, as long as it's growing, that lens will change. The problems won't look like problems anymore because you're going to have a pocket full of solutions. Oh, cool. Let's do this. Let's try this. Let's do this. Because you're evolving as a human being. And as you evolve as a human being, your business ultimately evolves as well. You now have a new set of eyes on your business. Anytime our businesses become stagnant and then we hit hard into groups, self-improvement, podcast reading, now we can look at the business through a new lens and create solutions for the business because the old us might not be able to find that solution. But we have to evolve into a new person so that new person can see the solutions rather than just the problem.
Man, that is so good. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That was so powerful, man.
The whole time as I was saying, I was like, this better lead somewhere.
Dude, I mean, it is so powerful. And I never realized what you just said when you were in your 20s and you were pursuing that first car. You were excited about it. You know, you feel like you have purpose. And
you were okay with the struggle because you knew what you were struggling for. And people forget why they're struggling and what they're struggling for. It's for a better life. And there's no greater reason to struggle outside of living a better life, you know?
Yeah, and when you say like once you accomplish what you were looking for, then you get like you stop and then you start asking yourself why in the fuck I'm miserable because you stop, motherfucker. That's why.
you just stop chasing something or stop progressing as a human being, and that's where burnout happens. That's where low self-esteem happens, and that's where you get just in a funk, in a very low place in life in general.
Yeah. Wow, man. That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing all that, man, because I think that's definitely going to open someone's eyes, you know? So. Like you said, like the struggle, man, is like you choose your struggle. Like I remember that when I was younger, man, when I never last in a job, you know? Like I think the longer I last in a job was like 8 months because I never liked that shit. It was a struggle for me. And I'm never going to forget 2 years ago when I told my wife, you know, I'd rather struggle trying to build my business. I'd rather struggle going broke if I fail with this shit than going again and get orders from somebody, you know? Because like you said, you choose your struggle. Both ways you're going to struggle. You just decide what you want for your life. You want to struggle the rest of your life.
That's one thing every human being on earth has in common. We all struggle. We all face problems. Yeah. We're all dealing with COVID right now. 100% of people, right? So nobody's immune to problems, issues, or struggles. Some people pursue struggle so that they can get greater income. Other people let struggle happen to them. You know, you need to determine who you are, whether you're just going to let struggle happen to you or you force struggle on yourself by pushing yourself. Then when an external struggle happens like COVID, you again look at it as an opportunity. What can I do here to pivot, change, and create inside this ecosystem that is COVID to better my life, right? And then you make those pivots and good things can come out of bad situations, just like we talked about in 2012. 2012 was a bad situation for us, but good things happened because of it. So again, it's just a matter of what lens you're wearing, whether it's the victim lens or the empowerment lens. Are you empowering yourself and looking for solutions, or are you being a victim and just looking at the problem as the problem is the problem, you know, and it's not you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, and another thing that a lot of people also confuse a lot, you know, like, because you guys are a great example of what is to come from basically nowhere and then being someone who owns different investments, multiple companies, like you guys are doing great and are crushing it. And I know that every single day you guys are thriving to grow more. But then also people believe that once you get to a point where you kind of like get your financial freedom and all that stuff, your problems are going to stop. But they don't understand that with more money, there's more problems. Who said that? What's the rapper who says that?
Biggie.
Biggie, yeah.
Yeah, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Without a doubt, it's true.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, it's true. We just talked about struggles and forcing struggle upon yourself in order to grow a business, right? So
yeah,
in order for more money, you're going to have to deal with more problems. So, I mean, it just goes with each other. An individual that deals with problems gets paid, right? If you're not dealing with problems, you're not getting paid. So more money means more problems. That's just the way it is. So you have to be able to deal with problems and create solutions so that you can get that more money. It's just, I mean, it's not rocket, you know?
No, I know, man, but that's so true, man. Like you guys are dropping some serious bombs here, man. And I like that shit. Makes me excited, you know, because that's the whole purpose of this, you know, because there's a lot of people who listen to this that's struggling, you know. But like right now for me, for example, I'm gonna knock out a 6 months course to get a license in less than 4 months, you know, because I'm putting in the work every single day. I was like, fuck this, like COVID is not gonna take me out, you know, it's gonna help me grow. And the same thing for everybody listening to this. And I think you also guys are doing the same thing. You guys are thriving during this time, and fuck your excuses too, you know.
Made big sacrifices to continue to invest not only into our businesses and us personally to get through all this, but you know, it's you know, we just constantly, like, we just barely invested into a new franchise, you know, and it's we could easily have just hoarded that money or went out and spent that money on something that we wanted, just or you know, whatever. We could have just been staying scared through this whole COVID thing, but we're like, man, what, you know, we're looking for opportunity, because there is always opportunity in times like this.
Absolutely. So. And that brings up another point. You should always be preparing when times are good for bad times. Yeah. You know, nobody saw COVID, but guess what? The next thing might not be COVID, you know? So there's always going to be issues every 10 or 15 years or whatever it is, right? We've just done a very good job the last 8 years in building up a lot of money to prepare ourselves for opportunity. You know, we've both made a decent chunk of money in stocks because they dipped, boom, bought stocks up because we had liquid cash, right? And then boom, 90 grand turned into $120,000 real quick, right? So due to the fact that I was prepared for the opportunity, even though I didn't know what the opportunity was going to be, it ultimately came.
We're not chasing the house. We're not chasing the car. We're not chasing those material little things anymore. We're chasing how to diversify and create revenue streams that are always going to feed us when times like this happen. And the only way that you create those opportunities by stashing your cash and making that sacrifice as you're growing your business and you're going through that struggle. Yes, you got to have your food, your shelter, you got to have your automobile, you know, all that stuff that we talked about. But once you got to get to a point too, once you have those things to where, okay, you sacrifice the nicer things, you stash that cash so that you can execute on opportunities on things that are going to feed you and be recession proof through times like this. There's a lot of people, even though COVID's affecting them, it's not affecting them financially. And it's because they've put themselves in a position by diversifying and making the sacrifices to invest in those things that are going to pay dividends no matter what's going on in the world.
Just to give that some context, you know, I was making 120 to 130 grand a year every single year for a period of time prior to partnering with Kale. The entire time I was driving this $3,000 Mitsubishi Lancer with no air conditioning, and where we live, it's 105 to 112 degrees in the middle of July and August. So I was driving a $3,500 Mitsubishi Lancer, making 120, 130 grand a year. That's a choice. Okay. Most people hit six figures, they get complacent, and then they start living the six-figure lifestyle. I already knew for a fact that I wanted to continue to eat shit in preparation for opportunity so that I never had to eat shit ever again at one point. There's going to be a sacrifice period of 3-5 years or whatever it is, whether it's in business, whether you make good money and you're eating shit just with the lifestyle that you have, living in a house that's way beneath your means, driving a car that's way beneath your means. Even still now, you know, I just barely bought a new truck like 2 weeks ago, but for the last 8 years, I've been driving a paid off Toyota Tundra that's a 2010, and you know, we make good money, really good money, right? So I've taken
Right.
those principles of living way, way beneath my means, probably just as high as anybody else could potentially take it. But it's
Right.
because of that all of a sudden an opportunity for a franchise came about, and it's 160 grand. Me and Kel look at each other. I said, I'll throw 80 at it. Kel said, I'll throw 80 at it. So we go to the bank on Monday and wire 160 grand for a new business. But it's because of the lifestyle that we live with the income level that we have that has been preparing us for opportunity. Less than 2 years ago, we invested 200 grand into an Amazon business. We invested $100,000 into a tech company. We just invested 160 grand into a franchise. Right there's probably what, $500,000, $600,000 or whatever it is. And again, look, that's a lot of money. We could have bought 3 luxury sports cars, $100,000.
For what?
But for what? What, to try to look cool to an average person that makes far less than me? I have goals that I'm trying to accomplish, things that I want to get done. I want to be financially secure. So I'm going to make decisions that match what I say I want, rather than just trying to look cool to somebody else that really isn't paying your bills or has anything to do with determining what your financial future looks like.
Wow. Yeah, and like you said, that's the process that it takes to get to that point, But if you never start that process, if you don't embrace the fact that there's a period of time that you have to go through a lot of stuff to get there, man, you're never gonna start it. You're never gonna get there at any point in life,
If you're starting a business, like maybe some of your brewer listeners are, man, they're just starting a microbrew. You can start at any level, man. You've got to learn from those mistakes, and then you got to get started with something. Like really sit down and make a budget. Do I really need that Starbucks every day? Do I really need to drink every day, chew, smoke, all these habits, going out to eat? Man, I looked at my books one day when I realized, because I went from, he talked a little bit about our struggle in 2012, man. We didn't get hit hard in the recession of 07, 08, 09 like a lot of people did. Ours caught up a little bit later. I went from being high on the hog in 08, 09, 2010, making $50,000, $60,000 a month to making $5,000, right? So and dude, my alimony alone was $6,000. Alimony and child support, because I went through a divorce at that time too. So I was literally negative cash flow. I had to make a budget. I had to give. Dude, I looked at my bank statements and I was like, I'm eating out $2,000 a month. Like people can start anywhere right now and be like, dude, I don't need the new car I had my eye on right now. I don't need to be going out to eat with the wife and the kids every single night. I don't need to be chewing and smoking and drinking and all this shit every single night, like hitting Starbucks for $15 a day. Like, you know what I mean? People can start right now. Where can I make the sacrifices to stash the cash to create these opportunities? Yeah, so I challenge everybody, man, no matter what level that they're at right now, if they're starting a business and they are struggling, like I challenge people, like sit down, make a budget. Or can you sacrifice to set yourself up for the future?
I think the issue is if you can't figure out a way to save money making 40 or 50 grand a year, you're going to have a tough time saving money making $250,000 a year, because it's muscle memory. Just like an athlete does the same shot over and over and over so that they don't even have to think twice about it. The fact is, if you live paycheck to paycheck, and part of that is because you are, spending a little bit extra on yourself when you shouldn't be. By the time, dude, I've seen this happen over and over and over. People that live paycheck to paycheck at 50 grand a year will live paycheck to paycheck making 100 grand a year, making 150. It's muscle memory. They're used to spending whatever comes in, goes out. And they would say, man, I need to make more money so that I can save. No, you need to figure out how to save now and be disciplined to make sacrifices to save, so that is the new muscle memory. So that when you make 100 grand or like I was 120, 130 grand a year driving a $3,000 car with no AC, I was already set up for that. I was already used to that. That's muscle memory. Right. Create that discipline at this level. So when you hit that level, that it's already created. You're already not over rewarding yourself. A lot of people over reward themselves because they're depressed, or they're sad, or they're in a funk. So they want to go out to eat, or they want to spend that Starbucks money to make them feel good. They're trying to spend their way into these little dopamine hits, right? So that they can feel good just for a second. What really truly feels good in the big picture is having money. I write my mom a check for $2,000 every single month. I cover her house payment and her car payment every single month. That feels better than a Starbucks. That feels better than a new pair of shoes. Giving is the ultimate thing to make you feel good. Now, if you're not giving to yourself through sacrifice, then you'll never be able to give to anybody else in the future.
Yeah, you're killing it here, man. Trevor, you're killing it. That's so true, man. And I've been there. And that's one of the biggest lessons I ever had in my life. Like trying to get those dopamine hits, like you said, and it was not taking me anywhere until I had to learn how to start like budgeting everything. And I started identifying those little leaks, like
it becomes a vicious cycle. You get that little dopamine hit because you bought the new pair of shoes or the new shirt. You feel like you look cool or this, that, but you have no money in the bank. You might look like you have money, but you have no money in the bank. And then that makes you feel like shit that you're broke. So what do you want to do when you get your next check? You got to get that next hit of dopamine. You've got to pull yourself out of funk for just, I got to buy that another new pair of shoes or that another shirt or whatever it is just to feel good. Now you're depending on material things to ultimately feel good. What, again, feels good is making the sacrifices necessary. What feels good is going to the gym when you don't feel like it and you walk out of the gym and you're like, man, I'm glad I came here today. Yeah. That feels good. That's a natural dopamine hit, not a materialistic dopamine hit. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Which take me also to the next point, and we almost been here for an hour or so. And the last 2 points, man, that I think is very important too. I know we mentioned one of them at the beginning, but investing in yourself, and being surrounded with the right people too, And what I mean by investing in yourself, like you just mentioned, like going to the gym, like not only about educating yourself in business and different in marketing and different aspects like that, but also in other areas of your life, like your spiritual life, your health, your family, and all that kind of stuff. And being surrounded with the right people, I think, is what make you guys successful, and it's helping me grow as well.
Dude,
tell us a little bit more about. Just want to hear your opinion about why the importance of investing in yourself too.
Yeah, man. I can't remember who I heard it from, but I remember it hit me pretty hard when it was like, because I always perk up. I love money, right? Like I love it. Like I love chasing it, I love making it, I love investing it. So I remember somebody asked a question one time where they were like, you know what the best investment I ever made was? My ears perk up because I love hearing about investments. And he was like, investments into me, man. You know what I mean? Like I have made more money by investing into me, educating me in this area, personal growth, going on this journey, joining this high-level entrepreneur group, you know what I mean? And so, and I started thinking about it, I was like, that's so true, man. Like every time I've invested into that next level of me, that's paid way bigger dividends than any of my stock investments, real estate investments, franchise investments. Like those things all pay, but like I wouldn't even be doing those next level investments if I wouldn't have invested into me. You know what I mean? And so 100%, dude, like probably one of the best investments we made because we talked about it. We're like, we were just these broke ass kids trying to get good at sales. We were just these broke ass kids trying to start a business. When we started investing into us by surrounding ourselves with next level people, we started evolving. And so I think that is one of the best investments you can make into yourself is yes, your health. Yes, surrounding yourself with high-level entrepreneur groups. And yes, growing you and your family around you. Because when you're happy at home and your family's happy and they're all being fed and they're all being, they're all growing as well. And you're growing yourself as a business owner with high-level people around you, like, dude, things just fall into place on the business side of things as well. So the personal growth is a huge investment into you. I think it's going to pay 10 times dividends, man. And if people aren't challenging themselves by investing into some groups, by reading, by, picking up a damn book. I don't care if you're a reader or not. That's what we were, man. We were guys that were like, I don't need to read books, man. I've already figured out how to make this much money. I'll just keep going down this path of making this much money, And the second we started putting our ego aside and saying, dude, I'm going to read this book on how to become a better leader. I'm going to read this book on how to manage our employees better. I'm going to read this book on how to grow my business and build systems and processes within it. Like these are all the books we're reading. And then we start implementing these things. We start executing these things we're learning. That's personal growth, dude, that grows your business as well, that grows your income and grows your lifestyle, everything that you want. So
let me ask you this. Who's responsible for your success?
Me.
You.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You're the captain of the ship. So of course you should invest into yourself. You're the individual that will be solely responsible whether you're going to be successful or not, whether your business is going to be successful or not. We are the business. You are the business. If you are the exact same person year after year after year, you can't expect the business to grow without you growing. Okay, it's funny. I just told the story that I made 120, 30 grand a year for 3 years straight driving the same car. Why? Because I let my ego get in the way. I'm making six figures. I was a little younger and I thought that that was good. So there was no growth there anymore. I hit the ceiling of what I could ultimately generate as the individual that I was. It proved it year after year after year. So if you're an individual that makes the same amount of money year after year, it's not the industry that's the problem. It's you that's the problem. You are not evolving as an individual. Therefore, your income doesn't evolve. So without a doubt, self-improvement, working on yourself, physically, emotionally, financially, whatever it is, working on yourself without a doubt is the number one factor that determines whether you will or won't be successful. Because you can, if somebody's an idiot and comes into a bunch of money and they're not working on themselves, that money can go out the window real quick. We've seen a lot of people make good money, whether it's through luck or work or whatever, but they obviously didn't continue to do the self-improvement and look inside, and they squandered it.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, man, they say, hey, well, what really fills my soul is serving other people. And you know what? When you serve you, you grow, you invest into you grow as a person, financially, mentally, spiritually, everything. You are serving the people around you. My wife's business grows as my business grows. I rub off on her. As she grows as a person and her business grows, it rubs off on me. Our children grow as people when we do that. Our employees grow as people when we invest into us and we grow. I can't tell you how many people have come to us within our company and they're like so grateful because they bought their first home. You know what I mean? They paid off, they got completely debt free. Wow. They went from having 38 collections on their credit and could never even fathom buying a home to clearing all of that up and buying their first home. You know what I mean? And so we've noticed as we've gone down this journey the last 5 years of investing into us, it's not just paying dividends for us in all these areas, it's paying dividends for all the people around us. And when all the people around you feel that and they start to grow, you naturally lift your own business up and start building that thing into an empire. Your culture gets better in the office or whatever kind of company you own, the warehouse, whatever it is. Like everything grows, man. So that investment, you can't even put a measurable amount of money on it. Because if you grow as a person, it does grow the people around you and it lifts you up in return as well, over and over and over again. So I really feel like that's how a lot of these big companies just continue to get bigger and better, is because of the culture of everybody growing. But it all starts with one person, you, the business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And you know what? One of the things that I have discovered when you start investing in yourself is that you start learning things that maybe at that moment you're like, I'm probably not going to need this, but eventually it's going to serve you in life. Like I give you an example, like, English is not my first language, right? But when I moved here to the US 7 years ago, I started reading books and I only started reading in English, because I wanted to improve my speaking ability, like people can understand me better, expand my vocabulary, that stuff. Now, 6 years later, man, I realize that because I've been reading all those books, even what business or not, all that knowledge and all that practice and education is serving me right now to have a podcast, maybe hosting a podcast, 100%. Like I write long posts, Ryan teaches us about long posts on social media. Like I write better than people that their first language is English too, because I've been practicing all that and now it's serving me. So in those little things that you're like, okay, I wanted to start reading because I wanted just to read or improve a little bit of my language, it's serving me now for other purposes in other areas. So I think that's the beauty of also investing in yourself.
And you said little things, and I would challenge people that listen to this podcast to pick out one thing, whether it is your credit. If you have bad credit, start focusing on that. There's a dopamine hit when you realize that you're making progress in life. And if your credit score is 550 and you paid off that one collection of $500 or whatever it is, it feels good. That's why they say I got the monkey off my back, because it feels good. It's not a monkey. It's a dopamine hit that happens because you feel like that you're making progress. Is it your finances? Do you need to hone in your finances a little bit better? find an area, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your finances, whether it's emotionally trying to check out for 5 or 10 minutes a day and meditate, whether it's you're not a reader, pick up a book and try to read 10 pages a day. Find one area that you can improve, and you'll get those little dopamine hits to the point where you're going to want to improve in another area. So pick one area. You wanted to learn English. You said I picked this little thing. I wanted to try to do this, and it's serving you. And then again, my guess is even outside of that, you've then picked up other little things that you could do to improve your life. It all starts with just one decision and one choice. Don't try to improve everything all at once, because it can get overwhelming and you can want to quit and give up. If you're out of shape, then pick fitness, pick your health, and commit to working out 3 days a week. And then after a month, commit to 5 days a week, and just see progression and make it feel as though that you're doing something positive for you. Your self-confidence will go up, and then you'll want to take on your finances or this or that, because you love seeing progress. And then you now understand that forced struggle ultimately equals progress in the long run, right?
And you hit the nail, to wrap up, dude. You hit the nail on the head with what you just said. Practice, man. It's all about practice. You said, oh man, I wanted to get better at English language, and now I write better than most people where it's their main language by practicing. So pick an area and just realize it's gonna take practice. When you're a little kid on the t-ball team or the baseball team or the football team or the basketball team, your coaches teach you to practice them jump shots until you get really good at them. It's the same thing, man, in life and business, every area. It just takes practice, so that's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for sharing all this. I mean, you really guys, you really crush it on this episode, man. I'm really thankful for everything you guys have shared today. I'm sure it's going to help somebody, and it comes at a perfect timing, what I know a lot of people is struggling. A lot of people is still like, I know we have a couple months left with all this COVID shit, because we know after November is over, but
I agree. We're on that same boat with you, man.
But anyway, I'm really grateful, guys, because you guys really share very valuable information. But just one more thing, man, where people can find you. I know you guys have Easier Accounting and Real Business Owners. People want to listen to your podcast or maybe get in touch with you. Where people can find you.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's looking for accounting, bookkeeping, anything that has to do with setting up entities, whatever it is, they can reach out to us at easieraccounting.com. If you have bad credit, just like we kind of talked about just barely, we own 60daycreditrepair.com. So they can reach out to us there. If they're just wanting to get content, free content, that's probably better than 90% of people's content that charge for their little courses and programs. We get DMs every single day talking about how, if you check our Instagram stories right now, there's a DM about how much the content has changed this individual's outlook on life and how much better they're doing. So we already know for a fact that real business owners definitely can bring you guys value in your personal life and in your business life or professional life. And you can find us on Instagram at Real Business Owners, or you can go to Facebook and just look up Real Business Owners. And then if you're into podcasts, which it sounds like you are, if you're listening to this, you can check out it's just Real Business Owners podcast on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you want to listen to it, or the YouTube channel that's Real Business Owners as well.
Yeah, right. Just search for Real Business Owners anywhere. You'll find us.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time for being here, man.
Appreciate it, man. That was a great episode.
Hope we can hang out anytime soon, man. Like next MDM, hopefully next year or something. I don't know.
We will.
Right?
We will, bro.
Let the COVID veil be lifted, and then we can all start seeing.
Dude, I was ready for the MDM this year, grabbing beer with everybody and having a good time, man. But it is what it is, guys. But thank you so much. And for you guys listening, if you enjoyed the show, make sure you share it with somebody. Put it on social media, send a DM, text message, email, whatever you can do to help me spread the word. And also make sure you leave us a review on iTunes and subscribe to the YouTube channel so more people can find the show and get access to all this valuable information. I will see you guys on the next episode. In the meantime, be safe, keep working hard, and cheers. Later, guys. Hey guys, thank you for watching. This show was brought to you by the Marketing Brewing Company, an industry-leading marketing provider and coaching firm. If this episode have provided you with valuable information for you and your business, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, share it with them. Send me a text message, a DM, put it on social media, whatever you can do to spread the word. And lastly, if you're a brewery owner ready to take your business to the next level, make sure you head to marketingbrewingco.com and fill out the form to get started and get your free assessment of your current marketing and sales strategies. I will see you guys for the next episode. In the meantime, cheers.